This bottle is sitting in your kitchen right now, and what's inside could be slowly poisoning you. I'm not being dramatic, I'm being honest. Industrial seed oils disguised as health food. Processing methods that literally create toxic compounds in your food, labeling that would make a chemist scream. Omega-6 ratios so broken they're destroying your arteries while you cook dinner. We spent months investigating 8 of Canada's most trusted cooking oil brands. We broke down the processing methods. We traced the sourcing. We connected the dots to something genuinely terrifying: Canada's cardiovascular disease crisis, our exploding obesity rates, and metabolic dysfunction that's aging people decades too early. What we found is that most Canadians are cooking with what amounts to industrial waste products repackaged as food. And the companies know exactly what they're doing. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is business as usual in an industry that has bet its entire future on your ignorance. These are the 8 cooking oil brands Canadians need to stop buying immediately. And at the end, we're going to show you which oils won't destroy your health. But fair warning, once you understand what's actually in these bottles, you'll never shop the same way again. Let's expose them. Number 8. Crisco Vegetable Oil. The grandmother's poison. Crisco has been in Canadian kitchens since 1911. Your grandmother probably used it. Your mother definitely used it, so you use it. That's the entire marketing strategy right there. It's positioned as the trusted choice, the reliable option, the familiar one. But here's what Crisco doesn't want you to know, and here's what the company literally hopes you never look up. Crisco vegetable oil is primarily soybean oil. Now, soybean oil itself isn't the problem. The problem is what happens to that soybean oil during processing. Conventional soybean is extracted using hexane. That's a neurotoxin. We're talking about a chemical that damages your nervous system at the cellular level. Health Canada says residual hexane left in the oil is safe at certain levels. The European Union completely disagrees. They've questioned Health Canada's standards for years. But regardless of the regulatory debate, here's what matters. Hexane is used to strip the oil from the seeds because it's cheap and efficient. Profit over purity. After extraction, the oil undergoes RBD processing. That stands for refined, bleached, and deodorized. The temperatures exceed 450 degrees Fahrenheit. We're talking about cooking oil at temperatures hotter than most ovens. At those temperatures, the molecular structure of the oil literally breaks apart. It oxidizes. It transforms into compounds that your body doesn't recognize and can't properly process. Trans fats appear, oxidized lipids form. These are inflammatory molecules. Then the oil gets bleached. Then it gets deodorized at even higher temperatures to remove the chemical smell from all that processing. By the time it reaches your kitchen, it's been chemically extracted, heat damaged, bleached, deodorized, and stripped of any actual nutritional value. It's not food anymore. It's an industrial product wearing food packaging. 1 tablespoon of Crisco contains roughly 7 grams of omega-6 polyunsaturated fat. Now, let me tell you why that number matters. The average Canadian consumes omega-6 to omega-3 in a ratio of somewhere between 20:1 and 50:1. Nutritionists, actual scientists who study this, recommend a ratio of 2:1 or maybe 3:1. That imbalance isn't a minor thing. That's an inflammatory disaster happening in your body. Here's what omega-6 dominance does. It triggers inflammatory pathways. Your immune system stays partially activated all the time. Chronic, low-level inflammation becomes your baseline. After months, this turns into joint pain you can't explain, brain fog that won't lift, skin issues that persist despite treatment, digestive problems that seem random, cardiovascular disease that appears seemingly out of nowhere. All of it connected to seed oil consumption. All of it profitable for the pharmaceutical industry that treats these conditions. All of it profitable for Crisco, which keeps selling the oil that caused it. Crisco costs $4.99 per liter. For that price, you're buying something that actively harms your metabolic health. And here's the thing that should make you angry. Crisco counts on you not reading labels. Crisco counts on brand loyalty. They count on your grandmother's recommendation overriding your own judgment. They count on you never understanding what RBD processing actually means. The inflammation doesn't show up on day one. It builds over months and years. It's invisible until it becomes a doctor's diagnosis. Number 7. Canola oil by Mazola, the health food lie. Mazola canola oil is everywhere in Canada. Every grocery store, every restaurant supply. It's the affordable option that looks responsible. It's marketed as heart healthy. The bottle shows a heart symbol. The advertising emphasizes cardiovascular benefits. Canadians buy it by the millions, genuinely believing they're making a smart choice for their families. This is where the deception becomes genuinely insidious. Canola comes from the rapeseed plant. In its natural state, rapeseed contains erucic acid, which is toxic to humans. Plant scientists solved that through selective breeding, developing a variety called canola that has low erucic acid. That part is legitimate. That's actual science solving an actual problem. But here's what happens next, and here's where the nightmare begins. Most canola grown in Canada is genetically modified. These seeds are engineered to survive massive doses of glyphosate, which you know as Roundup. The GMO seeds go into the ground. Farmers spray them with glyphosate multiple times during the growing season. The plants die from everything except the canola. They harvest it. Residual glyphosate remains in the seeds. That glyphosate ends up in the oil. The extraction process is identical to Crisco, hexane solvents, RBD processing. Temperatures exceeding 450 degrees. The oil is chemically extracted and then heat damaged at industrial scale. It's bleached, it's deodorized. That deodorization process creates trans fats. Health Canada officially says the trans fat content is below the reporting threshold. Translation, it's there, it's in your food. But it's below the amount they legally have to tell you about. You're consuming trans fats without knowing it. Mazola positions itself as the heart-healthy option. The marketing is sophisticated, the imagery is calming. The messaging emphasizes omega-3 content and cardiovascular support. There's another issue that nobody talks about. Canola has a high smoke point around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Companies use this as a selling point. High smoke point equals stable oil, right? Wrong. This is a marketing manipulation of actual science. A high smoke point means the oil doesn't visibly smoke before burning. It doesn't mean the oil remains chemically stable at those temperatures. When you heat seed oil, oxidized lipids form regardless of smoke point. Those oxidized lipids are carcinogenic compounds. Studies link them to increased cancer risk. You're not just creating inflammation, you're creating potential carcinogens in the food you feed your family. Mazola costs $3.49 per liter. It's affordable, that's the trap. Canadians buy it because it's cheap. They buy it because the health claims are seductive. We want to believe canola oil is good for us. We want to believe that a multinational corporation is looking out for our cardiovascular health. The marketing is specifically designed to exploit that desire. But the science tells a different story, and the corporations know it. Number 6. President's Choice Vegetable Oil, the invisible trap. Loblaws house brand. $1 to $0.79 per liter, rock bottom pricing. Canadians buy this thinking they've found a bargain. They think they're being smart with their money. They have no idea what they're actually buying. President's Choice Vegetable Oil is a blend, and that's the first red flag. When a company doesn't specify which vegetable oils are in the blend, it's because the blend literally changes based on commodity prices. Some batches might be soybean oil, others might be canola, sunflower, or safflower oil. You don't know, you're buying a mystery. Every bottle could be different. The processing is standard industrial seed oil extraction. Hexane solvents, RBD processing, chemical refinement. The label says it's suitable for cooking, baking, and frying. That's technically true, but it's also designed to hide a deeper truth. If you use the same oil for high heat frying multiple times, which many Canadian households do, you're concentrating toxic compounds. The oil degrades, it breaks down into smaller molecules, some of which are genuinely toxic. You're reusing carcinogens. Here's where it becomes genuinely disturbing. Loblaws reported record profits during the grocery inflation crisis. Billions in revenue while Canadians were choosing between groceries and rent. They're selling the cheapest possible seed oil to consumers who literally have no other choice. They're maximizing margins on a product that contributes directly to metabolic disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and they know it. Every major food corporation employs teams of nutritionists and food scientists. They understand the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. They understand the effects of seed oil consumption on human metabolism. They understand what they're selling and they profit from selling it anyway. President's Choice vegetable oil is priced so low that any healthier alternative suddenly seems impossibly expensive by comparison. That's not an accident. That's deliberate market strategy. Keep people trapped in buying cheap, unhealthy options. The healthcare costs that follow, that's not Loblaw's problem. That's society's problem. That's your body's problem. President's Choice vegetable oil costs $2.79 per liter. You're buying industrial seed oil at a price point that guarantees you'll keep buying it. You're trapped in a system designed to maximize corporate profit at the cost of your health. Number 5. Sunflower oil by Compliments. The Health Halo scam. Here's a brand positioned as the sophisticated choice. Sunflower oil. The label highlights that it's extracted from sunflowers. The packaging is bright and cheerful. It looks clean and natural. Canadians see it and think, that's better than soybean oil. That's a healthier choice. They're being manipulated. The product they're buying is just as inflammatory as everything else on the shelf. Sunflower oil does have legitimate benefits. It contains vitamin E, which is an antioxidant. That part is true. But here's what the label conveniently doesn't reveal. Most commercial sunflower oil sold in Canada comes from high oleic sunflower seeds. These are genetically selected, not genetically modified in the lab sense, but selectively bred for higher stability and shelf life. Commercial interest, not nutritional interest. Like canola, most sunflower crops are heavily sprayed with pesticides. Glyphosate residue is present. The processing method is the same industrial process we've described repeatedly: hexane extraction, heat refinement at 450 degrees, bleaching, deodorizing. The vitamin E content is real, but it's a minor player in a matrix of inflammatory seed oil. The vitamin E doesn't cancel out the inflammation, it doesn't negate the damage. It's like putting a band-aid on a broken bone and calling it healed. Sunflower oil is approximately 65% omega-6 polyunsaturated fat. That's inflammatory dominance. The antioxidant vitamins are genuinely present, but they're overwhelmed by the metabolic effects of the oil's fatty acid profile. You're getting antioxidant protection in a product that creates oxidative stress at the cellular level. It's contradictory. It doesn't work. Compliments sunflower oil costs $3.99 per liter. It sits on the shelf next to cheaper options, but it's marketed as premium, the healthier choice. Consumers see the sunflower imagery and pay more because they believe they're getting better nutrition. They're paying for better marketing. They're paying for a health halo. The health halo is real. The health benefit is exaggerated to the point of being false. And here's the insidious part that connects to everything else. Compliments is owned by Sobeys. Sobeys is owned by Empire Company Limited. Empire Company Limited reported record profits during a period when Canadians were struggling with inflation. They're selling both cheap seed oils under their no-name label and premium position seed oils under Compliments. They're capturing the entire market. Same inflammatory seed oil. Different packaging, different price tiers. Same devastating impact on your body, maximum profit extraction. Number 4. Liberty Vegetable Oil. The contamination story. This is where things get genuinely troubling, And this is where we need to talk about something that never made the news. Liberty vegetable oil is positioned as the budget option. $2.49 per liter, extremely affordable. Canadians buy it thinking they've found a bargain. They believe they're being smart with money. They have no idea what's actually in the bottle. Liberty oil is a commodity blend. The sourcing changes based on global prices. Sometimes it's soybean oil, sometimes it's canola. Sometimes it's a combination. You never know what you're actually buying. The label says vegetable oil. But there's no transparency about which vegetables are actually in the bottle. This matters because different seed oils have different inflammatory profiles. When you don't know what you're buying, you can't predict what you're consuming. The label claims the oil is refined using a modern process that maintains quality. That's corporate speak for cutting every corner possible. You cannot profitably produce, extract, process, package, and ship oil for $2.49 per liter. You're using high-quality methods. The extraction is cheaper, the processing is faster. The quality control is minimal, the refinement is minimal. Every step is optimized for maximum profit, not maximum quality. Here's what most Canadians don't know. In 2021, certain batches of Liberty brand oils were flagged by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. We're talking about potential contamination with pesticide residues above acceptable levels. This is documented. This is real. The recall was quiet, minimal press coverage. Most Canadians never heard about it. If you bought Liberty oil that year, if you used it to cook meals for your family, you might have consumed pesticide levels higher than Health Canada's official acceptable limits. Your children might have consumed those pesticides. The company faced minimal consequences. They adjusted their sourcing slightly and continued selling the same product at the same price point, business as usual. Liberty oil costs $1.99 to $2.49 per liter because the company has optimized for maximum profit extraction and minimum quality standards. You're not getting a bargain, you're getting industrial waste oil at a price point that guarantees you'll keep buying it. You're getting contaminated products at prices that make healthier alternatives seem unaffordable. Number 3, olive oil by Berrio. The import deception. Now we step into premium territory. Berrio olive oil is imported from Spain. The bottle is elegant. The label emphasizes traditional methods. European heritage, authenticity. Canadians pay $12.99 per liter thinking they're getting something special. Something real, something that won't destroy their health like seed oils do. They're being deceived, and the deception is sophisticated. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most imported olive oils sold in Canada are not what they claim to be. This is well documented. Independent studies have shown that up to 80% of mass-market olive oil sold globally is adulterated with cheaper seed oils. Berrio is mass-market. It's not from a specific producer. It's not small batch, it's a commodity product wearing premium packaging. Here's how the deception works, and it's important you understand this. A producer sources high-quality first-press olive oil. Then they blend it with cheaper seed oils, usually canola or soybean oil. The blend might be 70% actual olive oil and 30% seed oil. When tested, it's still legally olive oil because it contains mostly olive oil. But you're paying olive oil prices for a blend. And because seed oil is inflammatory, you're introducing inflammation into a product that should be anti-inflammatory. The second issue is the processing. Even legitimate olive oils sold at mass market scale go through a centrifugal extraction process that generates significant heat. It's not the slow, cold press method that preserves polyphenols. Polyphenols are the anti-inflammatory compounds that make olive oil actually healthy. They're the reason doctors recommend olive oil. High heat extraction degrades polyphenols. You're buying olive oil specifically for health benefits that the processing has destroyed. Berrio is owned by Diolio, a Spanish corporation. They source olives from high-volume farms using pesticides. They extract oil using industrial methods. They bottle it, they ship it to Canada. At every step, corners are cut. At every step, profit is maximized. The sourcing is cheap, the extraction is fast. The quality control is minimal. Barrio olive oil costs $12.99 per liter. You're paying premium prices for a product that's been adulterated with cheaper seed oils and processed in ways that destroy its actual health benefits. You might as well be buying canola oil. You're paying for Barrio branding and Mediterranean imagery. You're not paying for actual health. Number 2, grapeseed oil by Compliments. The sophisticated poison here is a brand that's marketed as the sophisticated choice. Grapeseed oil, it's positioned as artisan, natural, refined, extracted from grape seeds, a byproduct of wine production. The marketing story is elegant. It appeals to environmentally conscious consumers. It appeals to people who want to make sophisticated choices. Canadians pay $8.99 per liter thinking they're getting something special. They're getting a marketing story that's built on misleading health claims. Grapeseed oil is almost entirely linoleic acid. We're talking about 70% omega-2,6 content. It has virtually no omega-2,3. It's the most inflammatory seed oil on the market. It creates systemic inflammation faster than almost any other cooking oil, and it's marketed as a health food. This is where the deception becomes almost cynical. The processing reality is industrial and ugly. Grapeseed oil is extracted from grape seeds that are a waste product of wine production. The seeds are dried, crushed, and processed. Most commercial grapeseed oil is extracted using hexane solvents. The oil is then refined, bleached, and deodorized. By the time it reaches your kitchen, it's been chemically extracted, heat damaged, and stripped of nutritional value. The label claims a high smoke point around 420 degrees Fahrenheit, making it ideal for high-heat cooking. This is technically true, but it's misleading. A high smoke point means the oil doesn't visibly smoke before it burns. It doesn't mean the oil remains chemically stable at those temperatures. Grapeseed oil develops oxidative stress at high temperatures, just like any seed oil. You're creating carcinogenic compounds in your food. The smoke point claim is a marketing manipulation designed to make the oil seem safer than it actually is. Here's what's particularly insidious. Grapeseed oil is positioned as sustainable, as a byproduct of wine production, as circular economy, waste reduction, eco-friendly. This appeals to people who care about environmental impact. It appeals to your values. But the environmental story is being used to justify selling a product that's metabolically harmful. Corporations understand your values. They weaponize those values against your judgment. Compliments grapeseed oil costs $8.99 per liter. You're paying premium prices for a byproduct that's highly inflammatory and marketed with false health claims. You're paying for sophistication. You're paying for an environmental story. What you're actually getting is inflammation in a bottle with good marketing. Number 1, great value vegetable oil. Where the system becomes transparent, we end where the system becomes completely transparent. Great value vegetable oil by Walmart, $1.99 per liter. The absolute bottom price, the cheapest option on the shelf. This is where the deception stops being subtle and becomes brutally honest about profit. If Walmart can sell vegetable oil for $1.99 per liter and make a profit, what does that tell you about what's actually in the bottle? The seeds cost money, the hexane extraction costs money. The processing costs money, the packaging costs money. Transportation costs money, distribution costs money. Walmart's profit margin costs money, and somehow, all of that costs $1.99 per liter. The math doesn't work unless corners are being cut at every single step. Great value vegetable oil is a mystery blend of whatever seed oils are cheapest at any given moment. One month it might be soybean oil, the next month it might be canola. The next month it might be a combination of both. You never know what you're buying. The label provides no transparency. The extraction method is industrial scale hexane. The quality control is minimal. The refinement is minimal. Every corner that can be cut is cut. You're buying industrialized seed oil at a price point that reflects the absolute bottom of market quality. And here's what's genuinely disturbing. Despite Walmart's record profits, Great Value vegetable oil is the most sold cooking oil in Canada by volume. Millions of Canadian households are using it. Parents are cooking meals for their children with it. Grandparents are preparing family dinners with it. The price point is so low that any healthier alternative seems unaffordable by comparison. That's the trap. That's how the system works. Great Value vegetable oil costs $1.99 per liter. Every single liter you buy supports a system that prioritizes profit over health. A system that prioritizes volume over quality. A system that prioritizes margin over nutrition. You're not just buying cheap oil. You're buying into an industrial food system that has optimized for maximum profit extraction and maximum consumer ignorance. You're buying poison that's priced so low you can't afford not to. The real reason nobody's talking about this: 8 brands. Most owned by 2 or 3 massive corporations. All using similar seed oil extraction methods. All featuring similar omega-6 dominant fatty acid profiles. All contributing to the inflammatory crisis reshaping Canadian health. Different packaging, different prices, different marketing stories. Same fundamental product. Here's what nobody wants to admit out loud: seed oils are addictive. Not in the chemical sense, but in the behavioral sense. Your body adapts to the inflammation. Your dopamine system adapts to the sugar crash that follows. Your brain craves the comfort of familiar food, and the seed oils are everywhere. They're in the fried foods, they're in the packaged foods. They're in the restaurant meals, they're in the foods you cook at home. Breaking free from seed oils means changing your entire food system. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay healthy, and think twice the next time you reach for that bottle. Your body will thank you.